Hey, RetconRaider here, with special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Mathew Smith, Revenant, Alois, Anerdinwarpaint, hello Ellie, Dragon Matrix 7, Eerie V23, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, Kazorm, Nathan Welch Jr., RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, let's get started. Goodbye, Ellie. And welcome back to Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. As today, we set our sights on the ancient Sarkorian mine. Though, I am thinking that'll be the last stop on our current expedition, our first set of World Wound wanderings. We're just getting too close to that first tier of corruption, and that's a whole big headache of its own. You know, we could technically keep surviving past that. It would just saddle us with automatic spell failure chances, reduced mental stats, and it mucks with your spell book. It's just a pain. So rather than deal with all that, we'll check out the ancient Sarkorian mine, get that checked off our to-do list, then we'll pop back to Drezen. That'll let us clear up our corruption and the first batch of events in our queue. Right, and there's our rank up events, which means we can finally get that ridiculous coronation going. Very nice. 2 weeks, and then we can move on to whatever the next stage of that thing is. Alright, let's start moving towards the mine. But we do also have to make sure we move our main legion. Now, we are sucking fumes on spell points, but I think we've got enough left in the tank for 1 or 2 more fights. Let's push the rank 7s. You know, we're already pretty backlogged on relics. Let's go for the material upgrade. Babao incoming. Okay, let's get the clerics on interception. We win the fight if we take out those cultists, but obviously we don't want the Babao on our back line. And thankfully they took the bait. That is one of the weird things about this mass battle system. They have no engagement system. In theory, units can just run right past each other. That's why I'm not really a fan of the shieldmen, because enemy units can just go right around them and still go after your weaker units. These tar swamps, where so many Sarkorian trades had once operated, were then occupied by mud demons. Now they are safe again. The tar can now be drawn from their depths to serve the needs of builders, alchemists, and tanners. Interesting. Yeah, I guess I never really thought about tar as a valuable resource, but I guess it makes sense for this sort of setting. I'm not sure if people still mine tar in modern times. I guess they would. But I feel like most of it would have been supplanted by, like, synthetic or mixed tars. Anyway, we've got enough left for 2 fireballs. I think that's enough to take out this rank 9 army. But that'll probably have to be it. The drenches are low priority. They can incap us, but they can't really hurt us. We'll chip them when possible, but our main focus is the other guys. Oh, I didn't realize you could double summon. Well, that is a slight problem. Rocks are area attackers, so this could go sideways. Oh, never mind. Duelists are stunned, but that's fine. My real concern was that the Vrock would obliterate our marksmen. And we're pretty much done. Just gotta mop up the dregs here. That's right. Get it all out of your system. Just gives me more time for whittling. Hey. Good for them. I thought they had 3 rounds of stink before they started punching back. Not, of course, that it ultimately made a difference. My. Yeah, not much point in crowd control if you can't actually exploit it. A squad of demons fought back to the last, keeping the Crusaders away from a treasure, even if it cost them their lives. The treasure finally turned out to be a small, unsightly idol of an infant, made of sand and mud. That hideous babe beat the air with its fists and feet, shrieking all the while. Its dark skin was inscribed with a symbol of the demon lord Jubilex, the Prince of Ooze. In the place of its sole eye, a sinister scarlet stone gleamed in its socket. Unable to destroy the wretched creature, the soldiers took it to the commander. Thanks, guys. You really shouldn't have. I'll just put this with that undying blob of flesh you gave me last time around. I hate that you keep doing this. Well, not enough movement points left to hit another army, even if we wanted to. We'll just start cruising back towards Drezen. Might see about taking that army out on the way back, though. That one's just begging for a fireball opener. Oh, wait, yeah, let's pull Shy Shankers back to the nearest fort. Now we'll continue shuffling the main party. Yeah, let's go ahead and knock out that other army. What's going on? Oh, right, yes, the relic quest. Got it. Honestly, most of those won't even give us stuff we can really use, but I would like to complete them if possible. Fireball. And that'll do it. Thank you. The commander's unit was awestruck at their discovery. A small army of crusaders had taken a rest stop in the middle of the World Wound and decided to arrange a tournament. The noble knights' playful frolicking, however, ended in a bloody massacre, to which they were blithely oblivious, as the warriors' eyes were entranced by the queen of the tournament, a magnificent nude succubus, who observed the crusaders with a gracious smile as they blew off each other's heads. A scarlet gemstone set in a delicate web of finest steel gleamed on her bosom. The fight was brief but very brutal. With deep sorrow, the commander's warriors eyed the corpses of their brothers in arms. They had fallen into a demon trap. Uttering the words of Iomade, an officer ripped the magnificent decoration from the succubus's bosom. Even after death, her cold, beautiful lips still wore her smile of contentment. Oof, yeah, that's a pretty rough scenario. I think being mind-controlled, losing all your agency, and being forced to turn against your friends, or even against yourself, would be right up there in my list of grimmest fates. Because even if you survive, you have to live with the memory of it afterwards. But better them than us. Oh shoot, we missed a location out here. Befouled Barrows. Well, that's fine. We'll knock that out next time we're in the area. Probably after we get that teleportal set up for ease of travel. Oh, there's another one. Ah, it's just ingredients, no big deal. These guys hit hard, but we should be fine. Just gotta whittle down both groups. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they hit hard. But at this point, we can offset the damage with lay on hands. That's one. And that's two. A group of vicious demodans was trailing through the wastelands, driving a crowd of horribly wounded slaves in front of them. They forced the poor prisoners to insult their gods and desecrate their symbols. Now their evil ceremony has been stopped. The priests are murmuring that a chapel must be built at the site of this righteous victory to glorify the Crusaders' feat. I mean, I'm not really much of a foot guy, but hey, whatever floats your boat. I guess halflings are pretty well known for their feet. Alright, well, we are now officially running on empty, so let's get Agaboya's assassins back to base. We'll let them cool their heels until we get that whole marksman situation sorted. And back to the main party. Makeshift lab. Oh, and a warm-up fight. Ah, Ash Giants. No real threat. Well, Ash Giant Wreckers, I guess that's slightly more daunting. Relatively speaking. Excuse me. Oh, right. Right. We need point blank master on Waljeff to avoid provoking like that. Actually, I'm not sure he can even get that. That might be fighter only. I'll have to look into that.
Cover me, all right? Out of my sight!
And there we go. Not much of a fight, but still like 500 XP. We'll take it. Level 13 gets us our next set of feats. Onward, my friends. Legacy of the Ancients. Ah, another puzzle site. Great. Not something we'll worry about right now, but we'll swing by once we've got Nenio in tow. Old Sarkorian Mines. The ore mines of Sarkoris stopped operating long ago. Their old shafts are either collapsed or inhabited by creatures one would prefer not to meet. Can't wait to meet them. And we've got corpses. Guess we're in the right place. Okay, y'all know the drill. Let's hit the pause button real quick. I'll get our buff set up, and we will be right back. And we're back. Fully buffed and ready to go. There's a mystery afoot, so let us venture forth and find out what happened to these misbegotten mercenaries. The dead man's uniform bears an insignia of the Blackstone Company, a group of Vandoran mercenaries. Confirmation of identity. No clues just yet.
Decide already.
Ah, and then this loops back to the entrance, gotcha. We've got old Sarkorian ruins. Not a lot to see just yet. Pretty ruined. I wonder what those crystals are. Those seem potentially valuable. And we've got Smilos. Undead Smilos.
Stab you or zap you? Why not both?
Ooh, yeah, that's not gonna do it. Slightly better, but not by much.
I will resist.
Ha!
Goodness. Yeah, I can see how these might have killed a troop of mercenaries. I guess that is the question, whether these things killed the mercenaries or just came to eat their bodies afterwards. Wow, that choke point really worked out in our favor. Not at all intentional. That was just sort of a thing that happened.
Distract them for me.
Yeah, okay. Just wanted to make sure that we had someone going before the Smilo so it wouldn't immediately eat Ember. Hi. Okay. Okay, well that happened too. It's fine though. We're good.
I will see to your demise.
And there we go. Slightly messy. That was a lot more Smilos than I would have anticipated. But, not too bad. Oh, nice. +4 Amulet of Mighty Fists. Which is already a solid find, but with our Trickster Arcane lore, that actually gets bumped up to a +5. It's not reflected in the description, but because it's an enhancement bonus, it does apply. Yeah, see right here you can see we're pulling a +3 bonus from this +2 amulet. It's the same with the belts and other various assorted items that give enhancement bonuses. Something that I did not immediately catch on to, but which now I kind of try to plan around. You can see this one, obviously, we found before we got that power, so it's just a normal +2. But it is bugged, so we have to be careful about accidentally stacking them. That'll erase the Mythic Trickster bonus. I would give it to Kaz, but he and Vex are actually rocking the pair now. +2 circumstance bonus to hit and AC. An expert in fire magic clearly took part in this battle. So, not the Smylos? Also, 2,000 experience points on that skill check. Let's make sure we don't miss any of those. No wild beast would have ripped apart the bodies of these soldiers with such savagery. It was surely the work of demons. I mean, okay, sure. I'll take your word on that. I feel like there's a lot of really messed up monsters in Pathfinder that could have easily done it, though. Judging by how little dust there is on the stone fractures, this rock slide is fairly new. The cave ceiling must have collapsed only a short time ago. Intriguing. So that might imply we have survivors in there. Or that it could be where the monsters fled after the attack. No XP from that clue either. That's a bummer. Judging by the insignia, this man was a member of the Blackstone Company as well. One of the many soldiers of fortune. Ah, we only got 240 XP for that one. Which does maybe imply the others were set erroneously high.
I'm glad I was useful to you.
And 2,000 more experience points, okay. This warrior was slain, presumably by a mage who attacked him with sword strikes and a barrage of spells. Interesting mix. That might imply like a magus. Sword in one hand, spells with the other. So, demonic maguses, magi, who specialize in fire magic? Interesting. Okay, we're pretty much done with this leg of our journey. Let's head back to Drezen. We'll break the bad news to Captain Sailkind and see what he's got for us. Hey, Zorm. The captain of the Blackstone Company's vanguard bows briskly. How may I be of service? Well, I found those scouts that you were looking for. They are super dead. My condolences. Selkin lowers his head and says nothing. After a while, he nods sullenly. Well, we are at war. Thank you for discovering their fate. What exactly happened to them? Near as I could tell, they got jumped by demons with swords and fire magic. Not sure if that really narrows it down much. Curses. I instructed my men on how to act in case of an unexpected attack. The trap must have been prepared by a tactical genius. I feel like you might be jumping to some conclusions there, but sure. Sure, if that makes you feel better. Selkin, I guess I'll see you around. I see. Duty calls. Gotta say, I was really expecting another quest hook. I've never actually finished this quest before. I only had one character, my bard Zada, get this far. And that was right after launch, and the quest was bugged, so I couldn't actually turn it in. There's gotta be more to it. Maybe he'll come to us later with a follow-up. Hail! Dorgelinda Stranglehold salutes you with her bad hand. Amidst the critical shortage of supplies, a number of soldiers who call themselves the Fellows of the Crusade have set up a black market in the army. They steal everything that's not nailed down, trade medicine for swords, and spell scrolls for tobacco and rations. They know better than to ask for anything from command, so they take care of themselves. And if someone's not happy with the trade, out come the knives. I don't know how to deal with it except by alleviating the shortage of essential supplies. We should press Mendev for more deliveries. And we need to sort out our storage, build some decent warehouses. Right now, it's a thief's paradise. An underground market, huh? What's so bad about that? Let them trade things. Let's authorize it. Then there won't be a black market, just a normal, legit market. If someone is in need of something, we are the ones who must provide it. We should ask the priests of many different gods. They have wealth and influence. Maybe they can help? Yeah, I just asked a bunch of gods if they could do that, and it did not go well. You thought I was joking when I said our soldiers would soon need our experience of surviving in the caves? Well, here we are. This is the day. Time to live off the land. I'll teach your fighters how to survive on barren rocks, and there won't be any need for a black market. I mean, that is a practical suggestion, but at the same time, I got the impression from Dorgelinda that our guys are trying to trade for luxury items like tobacco. So, I mean, as long as they're wanting for luxury goods, there's going to be an illicit trade. Stranglehold, what can you tell me about these guys? The Fellows of the Crusade? Every army has people like them. Crafty folks who are willing to survive at all costs. Keep in mind, these aren't brigands. Otherwise, they wouldn't have enlisted in the Crusader army. They want a free Golarion from the demons just as much as anyone. But their choice of methods is indiscriminate, to say the least. Not everyone joins the Crusades out of the goodness of their heart. Some are hiding from Mendev's judgment, some are here for glory, some are dreaming of the treasure and spoils. We've got repentant cutthroats, illegitimate children, adventurers, rogues, all kinds. And each one of them is poor and used to not being able to rely on those in power. I've got to say, I'm liking the sound of these people. In their experience, everyone who has any sort of influence is a greedy cheat, and only common folk can be honest. I'm not so sure about that. Vex has a lot of influence and he is absolutely greedy, and also maybe a cheat, but, well, I'm not sure we've really cheated much in the way of common folks. That's why they call themselves the Fellows of the Crusade. They're your fellow soldiers who are trying to make things fair in their own way. Whether they really believe them or they're just doing it as a jest, who knows? I think we'll skip this option because, based on what we're hearing here, I feel like these are basically Vex's people. Vex himself has never really stopped being a money-grubbing mercenary / adventurer type, though I think he is slowly becoming a bit more altruistic over time. Alright, let's talk options. Well, Jeff, you wanted us to endorse the black markets? Fighting under the counter trade goes about as well as smacking nettles with a stick. Swing all you like, even pave over it. It'll just grow through the stone. If soldiers are trading, it's because they gotta. So let them trade out in the open. we'll build him a market and keep an eye on it to make sure there's no tussles, and that the trade's more or less honest. We'll even be able to make a tidy sum of it ourselves. The Queen has put you at the head of a disciplined army. Are you sure these kinds of liberties won't hurt that discipline and turn them into a mercenary gang? Stranglehold, I mean, our army is like 60% mercenaries, so I don't know what to tell you there. Aru, you wanted something about churches? The churches of many gods support the Crusaders' cause. They heal, bless, pray. If we ask them, maybe they'll help us ease the shortage of provisions and gear. I'm sure that if we build some shrines, the priests won't refuse to help us. Right, so spend our supplies building shrines for the priests in hopes that they will in turn give us supplies. Yeah, that certainly tracks. The priests are going to help us? Give me a break. They're only generous with prayers and good wishes. I mean, that might translate into energy, I suppose. I say hoping for handouts is pointless. Warriors must know how to provide for themselves, even in the middle of a wasteland. The surface is chock full of resources. We just need to teach the troops how to use them. And, well, how not to be too picky. But we're not alone. The Crusaders have supporters all over Golarion. It can't be that we have to fight demons to save the world without being able to make the ends... I'm not sure how to say it properly. Really? Aru, you speak common. That feels like a pretty basic turn of phrase. We need to keep pressing Mendev, double or triple our efforts if we have to, until they finally get proper supply chains up and running. Let the Queen come up with a new tax, or make aristocrats pay up, or go into debt. That's not our problem. Nerosians sent us here to win a war, so let's make them take care of our needs. Honestly. At this point, our soldiers don't even have a clean shirt to die in with some dignity if they fall. She frowns. Although, I am familiar with those misers from the treasury. It's like getting blood from a stone. Mendev's already up to its neck in debts. You can keep shaking an empty mug, but you'll never get more than 3 drops. Still hoping for handouts? We need to face it already. We're on our own here. So we have to survive however we can. That purple moss that grows on rocks? Pretty edible. I've checked. Good to know, Lan. Thanks. So what's our course of action? Obviously, I'm leaning markets, though Stranglehold's suggestion isn't terrible. But let's have a look at the effects. That will sway my final decision. Market increases finance income by 20 and material income by 1. Oh, it's a building. Right, okay, so 1 per fort. Got it. That's not bad. Shrine does indeed offer energy, and about half as much finance. Not really crazy about that one. Salvager post is +1 energy and material. Eh. And then warehouse. +100 finance income. That's crazy. But only if next to an inn, and inns can only be in outposts with no military structures, so that is very limiting. And then material or energy income if next to a supply center or shrine. The majority of our outposts are only going to be 2 by 2, so at most it would only get 2 bonuses. I think we currently have 4 dedicated non-combat outposts. If we were to optimize all the layouts around that specifically, in theory we'd pull more than we would with the markets. But I feel like it's just easier if we go with the markets, because then we can put them wherever and we'll get our bonus. Okay, Waldif, you win. Go ahead and get in touch with your tiefling buddies. Do what you got to get this network of markets up. That's the wisest solution right there. The market will fix everything on its own. Where there's trade, there's gold and life. Thank you for making the call, Commander. I'll report all further developments directly to you. If we run into anything that requires your attention, I will immediately convene the Council. Hail, Commander. Captain Harmattan salutes. Permission to report. Although the desertion has been halted, not everyone appreciated your methods. A circle of discontents formed within the officers' ranks, calling themselves the Wary. There are no blatant signs of sedition, otherwise they would have been arrested. Still, their talk is concerning. We can't rely on them. We need our own trusted officers. I suggest enlisting some of the volunteers. We get some very capable fighters among the fresh blood every day. The kind that could be made sergeants straight away. We need those who know the meaning of honor. We'll call paladins and knights from reputable orders, and they'll serve as an example to our soldiers, boosting everyone's morale too. Officers who are unworthy of their rank can always be replaced. We can identify experienced sergeants with reliable records of results. Then promote them. Mendev is full of promising youths who were overlooked when their seniors were promoted to serve in your army. We can call them here, award them rank, and they'll be grateful to us until the end of their days. Yeah, maybe. Harmattan, what's the deal with these guys? The Wary? What's their problem? Count Arende was generous with gold, and even more generous with his promises. The officers he paid did a great job of convincing most of the volunteers to stay. Unfortunately, his approach was not to the liking of the remainder of the command. There have been murmurs that mercenary practices are unfit for a Crusader army. Right, sure, yeah, because the Crusader methods were clearly getting great results. I like the part where they all started burning and executing each other. There's a lesson for us. We tried to please the corrupt, and what did we get? We offended those most loyal. If these oddballs want to take a vow of poverty, chastity, hunger, and cold, by all means, let them take it and suffer. I prefer having reasonable people at my side, not fanatics. Point for Darren. Cannot disagree. And one more thing. I apologize if this sounds disrespectful, but these are the sentiments within the ranks. For an entire century, the Queen was the face of the Crusade. Even though she personally appointed you as commander, many still consider you an upstart unworthy of the high title. Many officers and soldiers dream of Her Majesty taking the lead. Yeah, I'm sure that would go over great. Just out of curiosity, she's the one who led the other 4 Crusades, right? Alright, let's talk options. So, Sela, your vote is for more fanatics. We need the most honorable, loyal officers. Where else can we find them but among the chivalric orders and paladins? We'll invite valiant knights to Drezen and make them officers. They are the best hope for a Crusader army. That sounds fabulous. But there's just one tiny little problem. Who do you think has been filling these positions until now? Did it truly not cross my dearest cousin's mind to recruit your favorite paragons of honor and faith as officers? Your proposal is to repeat exactly the same thing that's been going on without you for the last 100 years. Yeah, that does sound about right. Not to mention, being chivalric and honorable has certainly not stopped at least a few of these folks from crossing over to the dark side. We've got one in our graveyard. Appointing officers from the outside is a mistake. We should move our most distinguished privates up the ranks. The troops will be more eager to trust their former comrades, and try to climb the ladders themselves. Of course, these officers will also prove more loyal than newcomers, invited from who knows where. There's some truth to that. I became who I am by making it all the way up from a thief to a paladin. But soldiers need not just generals, but mentors too. They need officers who embody honor and bravery, showing the true meaning of those virtues, as someone once showed me. Wow, so Sela is on board for Regel's thing. Interesting. Darren, go ahead. There are plenty of ambitious young men and women in Mendev, waiting for a chance to prove themselves. They'll move mountains from whoever gives them this chance. The aspirations of hot-headed youth are the best fuel for war. Sure, why don't we invite some privileged youth as our officers? Gamblers, status seekers, fops, and brilliant poets unappreciated by the masses. That's what's been missing in our commanding ranks. Hey, another ringing endorsement from Sela. I can see that the Count misses the high life dearly, and would like to invite along the entirety of the capital's leisure class to join him in carousing. I can't stop him, so he can invite them to his heart's content, but not to serve here as officers. Well, I'll be the judge of that. There are volunteers arriving every day, with some quite capable people in their midst. I wasn't a rookie when I joined the Crusade, after all. I had 100 years of military experience. We can rely on these new leaders to replenish our command staff. Should we entrust the lives of our soldiers to strangers? I'm not so sure. I mean, I feel like that's going to happen no matter what we choose. Unless we do Regel's thing. Let's have a peek at the actual mechanics. Sela's thing gives us plus 10% on infirmary. That's not terrible. Oh, but Regel's thing gives us plus 10% on XP. That is tempting. Darren's thing gives plus 1 Master of Maneuver. That's an extra unit slot in every army. I do like the idea of having a wider variety of units. Just for the fun of it, I mean, we've covered that before. Oh man, now I'm torn. I was leaning Regel, but now I'm split between Regel and Darren. Both of those bonuses are right in my wheelhouse. Right, and then Harmattan's thing is just bonus morale, no big deal. So it really does come down to either Regel or Darren. And you know what? Once again, I think I'm going to have to side with fun over practicality. Besides, I invented role-playing games, and that'll help offset the difference on XP gain. Alright, Darren, do your thing. Perfect. Let's give these youngsters a chance. They'll be sure to prove their worth. And there will finally be someone in Drezen to discuss some Mendevian news with in the evening. I hope these measures will solve the issue at hand. If we have further complications, I will call another council at once. Captain Odan salutes you and looks over the military council intently. Our intelligence was correct. Karamzada's host marches on Drezen. In his position, the wisest course of action upon reaching the walls would be to lay siege and wear down our forces with nuisance raids. However, my experience tells me that he will act differently. This is going to be a full-on assault, a decisive display of his power. When the enemy moves in on our position, we must meet them with a hail of arrows from the walls, gaining the full advantage of our superior defensive position. To prepare our army for this battle, I propose to pass a reform and increase the presence of ranged troops in our ranks. I believe light-armed slingers, a great number of whom can be trained quickly, will be adequate for our purposes. And once the demons get to them, every one of those slingers will be slaughtered. I say we only recruit experienced, seasoned rangers who have traveled far and wide and know how to defend themselves in any situation. Captain Odan is correct to assume that our ranged troops can manage with light armaments. However, the troops themselves must be of exemplary quality to complete the task at hand. I suggest we pick the most adept archers we have, and have them undergo rigorous training until they become true marksmen. Greybor smiles condescendingly. In my experience, in a fight with a dozen quick and accurate archers, the most valuable among them is the one who knows how to pick the right target. You don't learn that kind of skill in the archery range, only in action. Call some headhunters, hard-boiled cutthroats, who live by their ability to put an arrow in the eye of a moving target. Greybor, it's great to see you, but what are you doing here? Greybor puffs his pipe, and after a short pause says with dignity, "True, I'm not a soldier. However, I have a better understanding of killing than most. Besides, the fact that I'm not a professional soldier means I can offer you a fresh perspective and give you advice that would never occur to a career officer." Fair enough. So, Odan, what's this Karamzada's problem with us again? By capturing this city, we have gone on the offensive for the first time in decades. We have broken the established mold. That which is taken by demons rarely escapes their grasp. The liberation of Drezen could become a symbol of new hope for mortal kind, and Karamzada seeks to smother that hope in its cradle. Moreover, Drezen is a well-positioned foothold that threatens both the World Wound and Northern Mendev. Karamzada cannot fail to appreciate its significance. But there is a more pragmatic reason. Back in the day, Karamzada planned to capture Drezen himself, but Banago beat him to it. If he takes it back now, he will finally have his glory, as well as further humiliating Banago. That makes sense. I can get behind that. Alright, let's talk options, people. Everyone looks at you expectantly. Cecilia, you're recommending hunters? I can appreciate that. We can't bolster our ranks with hunters and shepherds who can shoot an arrow, but don't know anything about melee combat. Excuse me, I take exception to that. War is not shooting partridges out of the sky. The demons could easily break through our ranks and attack our archers. And what happens then? A massacre that would leave us digging graves for a bunch of boys and girls? Rangers, on the other hand, spend their whole lives traveling, and they know what it's like to rely on no one but themselves. They're battle-hardened, and they can wield both a bow and a blade to fend off a dangerous foe if need be. Yeah, Rangers suck. Nobody likes Rangers. Aru's not here, right? In worrying about the lives of individual soldiers, we must not put their safety above expediency. The price of defeat will be the loss of the entire army, not just a few soldiers. Sure. See, Regil gets it, I guess. And you wanted, snipers, right? I do like that. If we take 100 archers and work them to the bone, in time we will discover a dozen with real talent. They must be able to remain completely focused on their combat objective, taking out one opponent after another. And the infantry's duty is to shield such valuable assets from any attacks, with their bodies if necessary. Greybor arches an eyebrow and smirks skeptically. You're acquiring a powerful but extremely vulnerable weapon. If you're not up against idiots, our enemies will see our weak spot and hit us there. That's exactly what I would do. Right, yeah, you wanted headhunters. What exactly is the difference between those and snipers? They can use their heads, rather than just shooting wildly. soldiers think the main thing is to just hit a target quickly and accurately. Doesn't matter what kind of target it is. If it's an enemy, it's good enough for them. But when you hunt dangerous prey alone, you can't help but smarten up. You learn to spot the leader in a crowd, count the guards, figure out who will have time to take an arrow for their leader and who won't. And you do your work from as far away as you can, so you don't put yourself at risk for no reason. Okay, sounds like a sniper. Which is why my colleagues in trade will outclass any soldier. If you hire professionals, they won't shoot volleys into the enemy infantry with abandon. They'll take out every single spellcaster and officer hiding behind the infantry, and pay you off for your investment before the enemy even reaches the front ranks of your army. And Odan, you wanted us to invest in a bunch of trash slingers or something? That really doesn't sound better than snipers. Of course not. A sling is not an accurate weapon, but it is cheap and easy to learn. Slingers' training is inexpensive and brief. Any commoner can pick up the basics, and will be able to bring a large number of ranged troops onto the battlefield. Their numbers will compensate for their lack of skill. Sela's expression darkens. Untrained, practically unarmed peasants in the rear? A perfect target. Yeah, gotta say, I am not a fan of that. Just conceptually. It's the same reason I avoided conscripts. Your advisors nod respectfully in response to your words. Why, thank you. Okay, so Rangers. We've tried them, I like them, but ultimately Marksmen won out. And then Marksmen, of course, are your basic glass cannons. Extremely lethal, but very frail. I am a little surprised to see that they apparently still have the penalty for firing into melee and mass combat. I mean, technically, I guess it does make sense, but given the lack of engagement or attack of opportunity rules, I figured they'd just kind of streamline that stuff out. That is another big reason to take Marksmen, I suppose. And then Headhunters. Slightly tougher, but slightly less lethal. And they have Return Fire, which allows them to counter any range attacks. Interesting, but not the sort of thing I like to plan around. Generally speaking, if your back line's getting shot, you're doing something wrong. Yeah. Less accurate and less deadly, but about twice as tough. And then, of course, you already know my opinion on slingers. We're not going there. Which really just does bring it down to, I think, Rangers or Snipers. Headhunters are kind of tempting, if just for the flavor. But I'm just not a fan of that Return Fire ability. There's no way to really leverage that without it being inherently self-destructive. Okay, Regil, you get a rare win. Regil nods, silently. I hope these measures will be enough to repel Karamzita's onslaught. And if not, those who come to take our place will learn from our mistakes and fare better. Yeah, that's the spirit. Oh, and we actually have a quest to fight off Karamzita. That is slightly disconcerting. Let's have a quick peek at the map. Demon's army approaching. So I say, we've got a rank 7 coming from the west. Okay, that doesn't look bad at all. It is definitely set up to resist fireballs, but we just picked up Ice Storm, so I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. We'll just need to make sure that Agaboya's crew is on intercept once we've finished reorganizing our unit loadouts. Okay, I think we're pretty much done. We're also past the hour mark, so we definitely need to hit the pause button. But before we do, let's go ahead and get some rest. That way we can once again end on some party banter. And it'll leave me in a good spot to go do our off-screen bookkeeping. I do not know what barbarians do in the day-to-day, running about in the nude waving an axe possibly, or ripping the heads off wolves. But I think Marhavok was sick to the back teeth of his routine, whatever it was. And then Jerabeth came along, a magical creature from another plane. Yes, I understand what he saw in her. I hope you never get bored enough of our company to do something as dangerous and stupid as that, Count. Hey, Greybor and Darren banter. That's new and fun. I will say, though, as much as I enjoy doing the Greybor voice, he is very reserved and professional. I have a really hard time imagining him competing with characters like Darren and Waljif and Nenio, and even like Regil and Ember, when it comes to entertainment factor. He also just comes into play so late in the game that you just don't have the same type of attachment to him that you would to most of these other characters. Except for Cam. Alright, folks. I was hoping it would be a new day, but that's fine. I can just wait an hour off screen once I'm done with our other business. But yeah, I believe this brings us to a great stopping point. We have officially checked off everything I had on today's to-do list. And we are now in an ideal position to take care of our off-screen bookkeeping. We'll hit the pause button for now. I'll take care of our off-screen bookkeeping, dump our vendor trash, shuffle our armies around a little bit, and we will pick up here next time, as we get geared up for that LAN party I mentioned a couple of episodes ago. We should probably get that done sooner rather than later. See you then. Oh, and remember, although I do love playing Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, you can find out more about the game by visiting the official websites. And if you'd like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things, or maybe even check out the Patreon, or the new YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.
I'm glad I was useful to you.